Hello everyone, this is intended to be a follow-up video to my original MDK2 prototype video. I'm kind of making this because I found some new screenshots floating around online of a 30% build, which I didn't know about at the time, so I did not include those pictures. So we'll look over those here, as well as looking at the details of the photos a little bit more. Admittedly, I did brush over them pretty quickly in my original video, so this will be a chance to dive a little deeper, see if we can observe anything else. We'll be taking a look at the 20% build here, the 30% build, the November 1999 build, or at least one from close to thereabouts, and then another build, I forget the date of, March or something, and then the last build we know of, which is very close to the final. So here we go. This is a strange series of screenshots. They seem to really just depict large tubular structures, and they don't bear any resemblance to MDK1, or really to the final game either, aside from the main character and maybe one or two enemies. These are the earliest known screenshots of MDK2. I do not know where they originate from. We can see this V symbol here. If I'm remembering correctly, I think I just pulled these off of IGN's website. But yeah, we can see Kurt's got a much lower poly model here. It looks kind of similar to MDK1, but this structure here is not something I recognize at all, nor are the textures. And the same kind of goes for this next one. He's standing on a platform, there's environmental fog going on. Very bizarre. The closest I can think of this stage appearing in the final might be Kurt's level 3. You know, his final level. But I don't know. Yeah, I think even that is a stretch. I mean, he's standing in this tunnel. These early screenshots, they're a little self-explanatory. We can finally see something familiar here. Cone heads. They kind of look pretty much like they do in the final. You can see the ribbon shoots up and functioning, and he seems to have a unique landing animation. Makes me wonder if this is a mock-up or something. And we'll be seeing this, the exterior of this large tubular structure soon. Yeah, I'd say this screenshot is the one that reminds me most of Kurt's final level, which is why I think that these screens are what eventually turned into that. This is that grunt enemy, the one you gotta snipe in his helmet. He does not appear to be textured, but his model seems pretty much complete at this detail level anyway. I can't really spot any major differences. Yeah, I think this is where we saw that the cone heads. There's a central structure, and I don't know if that's an artifact or if there's actually something in there. It's hard to tell what you're looking at. It really is. Like, what is this? You can kind of see what appears to be a floor down here. But it makes me wonder, why is he in his parachute stance so often in these? That's kind of why I think these might be mock-ups more than anything else. Now this does definitely look similar to Kurt's final level. Again, hard to say. Here's more of our tubular structures. And this is going to be the 30% build. Now there's some interesting things to view here. Chiefly that, again, the levels are kind of unrecognizable compared to anything in the final. We finally started to see some HUD elements here. Max's gun. I'm not sure why it's here. And the walls are not telling me too much of anything. I don't know where this level is. Kurt looks a lot closer to his final design. That might even be the final design. Earth, either an energy wall or an energy beam. Max's gun is still here. I would almost say, judging by the floor over here, that this looks like a very early iteration of one of the Jim Dandy stages, either Kurt's or Doctor's, because we'll see this kind of texture going on soon as flooring. I guess this might also be the alien spacecraft, Max's first stage. A little hard to tell. This is kind of similar to 20% build. Open parachute and flying in some kind of energy tunnel. This is still not telling us too much. It's very interesting, but it's really difficult to tell what we're looking at. This looks like an early version of the door that is guarded by the sniper lock puzzle, quote-unquote. I don't see any sniper lock, though. Perhaps it had an alternate means of opening, like destroying all enemies in the area. And now we see that Max has started to become implemented. He has an array of weaponry. He is in what appears to be the alien spacecraft being his first level. We can see that his model looks a little early. I don't know if that's just the angle, but his hands might be missing. And that's a Biff there. These aliens, they do appear in the final. And they might be lacking animation because you can see he's shooting toward us. Yet he's not in any particular stance. And there's another one coming from this guy over here. I'm not sure what these are. And this is kind of similar to the previous one. Superficially, this area does resemble the area where you fly upwards with the jetpack. You can even see he's got the jetpack. Could have been heavily modified. Now he does look a little more to be in a stance over here. Now this is the next earliest build we know of. This is cropped from a magazine article again. I forget which one, to be honest. So this article contains some screenshots. It was an advertisement for MDK2, and it's got some early screenshots that seem to match the build we're about to look at. We can see this alien here. It might just be the lighting or the quality of the photograph, but he does look a little weird. And you can see the HUD's black here. That's a good indication of this being in this early development time. It's pre-1999. By how far, I'm not really sure. This is interesting. We'll actually see this in a higher detail in a second. I am very curious about this particular structure. It seems to appear in very early builds of Kurt's first level, as well as Max's second when he's back on the Jim Dandy. And then I think this is Max's first level. We'll see a couple of these red-themed levels, and I'm not really sure what they turned into, but I think maybe they are Max's first level. As an early version of Kurt's beginning area. We can see that door. It's hard to tell from the detail count, but that pattern here does look similar to that energy door we looked at before that I kind of theorized was this same sniper door lock thing, except we can see the sniper lock here. These aliens do not appear here in this area in the final. Otherwise, it looks pretty darn similar. And this is the area that in the final game, the aliens waving that little target around immediately following that beginning area. But we got a bird brain here. I don't believe he ever fights these enemies. But here it is appearing in his first stage for some reason. These tubes, yeah, it's definitely got to be this area here. Now here's what I'm talking about. This area with the floating platforms looks largely similar. The central column's a little different. It seems to be the same idea going on. And here's that same screenshot. I'm not really sure what this can be. I'm really interested to know, though. Something very similar appears in Max's second level. I have it captured in my video. I'm not sure if we have any screenshots of it in this video, though. And this is that same area, just a different angle. And this is the area following the central column room, where you fight 2 of the spheres of death, and I think 2 of these guys. And again, we see that these guys look kind of different. Their red eyes are missing. They seem a little chunkier overall. Some strange explosion going on. He must have just fired at us, or maybe someone off screen did. And this is that same area, I believe, except it was a bird brain again. And the ledges over here are missing. Otherwise, the room does look pretty similar. And this is the area right before the final boss room of, or not the, well, the final boss of this level. The fan grates are a little different. Otherwise, I don't really see too much of note over here. And this is the boss pod. Again, it looks different. Just a design choice, nothing too substantial. I can't tell if this is Kurt's beginning room, or if maybe it's something to do with the 3rd level. But it seems to be some kind of size comparison chart for him and Schwang. Probably a mock-up. And here's those red, earthy toned levels for Max I was talking about. I'm not sure where these take place. I'm kind of theorizing that they are his first level, and this was an early iteration of that other alien spaceship. Nothing too much to see here. Windows where you can see space. His guns have a more realistic look here. I think that's a jetpack. So this could be that area where you gotta fly upwards, where you first attain your jetpack. And hard to tell here. Some of these screenshots, his weapons are kind of ghost looking. They're all transparent and white. I'm not sure why that might be. We got an enemy here, bird brain and a biff. I like the screenshot a lot, but the continuing theme of this build is I don't know where we are. I don't really know what I'm looking at. He's in a weird pose here. This alien seems to be falling from a height or something. I don't know what these little giblets are. It's a strange it's a pretty strange screenshot. It's very interesting. I really hope that a build of this version surfaces sometime, because I would really like to know where this is. This is the one area that does look kind of familiar. If you've watched my original video, and if you're looking at his second level, there is a kind of a spacewalk section near the end, which is kind of similar to this, where you're just jumping across platforms. This is the one area that does kind of resemble something in the next build. More bright lights. We can tell we're in the same area pretty easily by the wall textures and these windows, but other than that, I'm not sure what we're looking at. We got another Biff firing at us. We got more transparent guns, and we got some kind of other energy gate here. It could be up because maybe we gotta defeat him to open it, or maybe it's just decorative. There seems to be a door over here. Not sure where this area is. Definitely the same level, though. And now we got the earliest known screenshots of the Doctor. This is definitely his first level. He does not have any HUD elements yet. In this build, it doesn't seem to exist. His model looks pretty close to final, a little more rough. I'm not sure where he's going into here. It's either going to be the tree lounge or his quarters. I'm kind of gonna guess his quarters because of the lights over here. And this is that lift area. This enemy does not appear normally. And this window looks a little different, but that could just be me. This is the boss room for this level. It's interesting because in the final version, there's just a teleport on one end of it, I think, that takes you to a switch, which makes this beam appear. Yada yada, you already know. And in the prototype before, you got these floating platforms that have a teleport on every single one of them. And you pick up plutonium if you solve the puzzle, which is a tough puzzle. I'm not really sure how to solve it. But we got this version here, which seems to be an even earlier iteration of that, where you just got these floating platforms with glass on them. Here's another view of it. Maybe you're supposed to turn into Hyde and jump up and hit the BFB, I don't know. Next, we're going to be looking at something that appears to be dated pretty close to the November 1999 build, maybe a little earlier. But this is Kurt's second level. I'm pretty sure of that. An early version of it, definitely. We can see these sniper locks that turn into platforms. We can see the early alien design here. And this is the end of the first level. This text appears now and then. You are invulnerable. There is a string in the files to make this text appear when you go into God mode, but I was not able to enable it. The alien design is pretty much the final. We can tell the date of these roughly by the HUD color. The earliest is nothing, then we got the black one, then it turned blue, and then when we're close to the final, it turns red. So this is this area in the second level, close to the end, where you gotta shoot the sniper locks to make the bridge here. This texture is completely different, though. Also got an alien buddy here. It's a cool texture. I like this. I'm not sure if this is the same area, or perhaps something from his next level. There's something over here. I can't really make out what it is. And these floating orbs almost look like something you gotta shoot with your sniper lock. It's more of the same. This hallway seems to be associated with that bouncing sniper lock puzzle where you shoot to build the bridge. Just a different interior texture. And this is Kurt's last level. I'm sure you recognize it, the central area. You shoot the little sniper locks over here, spawn enemies. And Doctor is finally getting some items added to his HUD here. It's interesting to see that there's no glass covering this tree here. he's fighting the aliens with atomic toast, even though you're not supposed to get it yet. You're supposed to beat them with a leaf blower, and then Kermit gives them to you. He already has plutonium as well, which I don't think you can normally obtain at this point, even in this build. We got 41 loaves. It kind of makes me suspect that perhaps the atomic toast had a ammo functionality to begin with, and then they just turned it into infinite. You see 2 bottles. If you've seen my previous video, you'd know that there's an unused item called just the empty bottle or the bottle. I don't know what it's used for, but it seems to be just an empty version of this bottle. Doesn't seem to be compatible with any other items that I know of. And here we see the same thing, except he's transformed. And this is an early version of this bay area, the loading bay. See some aliens off in the distance. Not too much seems to be different here. Except he has no items. It's a little weird. This is that same loading bay area. You can see that the ramp upwards to the fishbowl is over here. The alien spawner. So it looks to be about pretty close to the final here as well. We still got an ammo counter on the toast here. Early version of the spacewalk on the Jim Dandy. Pretty much the only difference here is the HUD. And then here's the boss. See, this is what I'm talking about. So you got these platforms here, and you can just see the tippy top of the teleporters here. You're supposed to take the correct one, and it takes you up here, and you can grab a plutonium and beat him up, because in this build, he is flying a lot lower to the ground. You can see the teleporters just a little better here. Seems like he's just fighting him with atomic toast. I guess that's another slower way to defeat this boss. And this seems to be kind of like a January to March 2000 kind of build. We've got the red HUD like the final. And this room's definitely recognizable. The alien looks a little strange here. Kind of skinny. I'm not sure what's going on with him. But you can see the room itself is pretty much like the final, with this central column and the apples in this area. It's pretty much the final here. Same goes for here. Laser chain gun. All these items are normally obtainable here. And then we got Max's levels, which this is definitely his first level. I kind of recognize this area as his first major fight, but this doesn't seem to be glass here on the sides. It's this mesh, and there's much more weapons in the center area than appear in the final. Also, you don't get Gatling guns in this level normally, anyway. This, to me, I'm not sure where it would be, but it's definitely one of his jetpack sections in his first level. This texture's not seen in the final, though. This is the most interesting one. This, if you've watched the videos, Doctor's early version of his second level has a room very much like this one. So in this one, Max is here, there's aliens, and the tubes still seem to be empty, just like in the Doctor's level. But you can see the structure here is shooting a beam down onto this glass canopy, and I just wonder why. It's curious. I really want to solve the mystery of this room. This seems to be that same lift area, but with Max. You are invulnerable. And you don't visit this area as Max, so I don't know what he's doing here. because it seems to be pretty much like the same layout as for the Doctor with the alien spawner and all that. This telescope is different than what appears in the final, and it's actually the same telescope as appears in the build on my channel that we played, the November 1999 prototype. So I'm not sure why it's still around in this later build with the red HUD. But this same room does contain that same kind of weird horned alien like little structure thing that appears in that Kurt screenshot. I don't think we have a screenshot of it in this video, but it appears in my like gameplay video. And this is an interesting screenshot because of Doctor's HUD. This is the same graphic as what's used for the final, but you can see we're still using this little teleportation platform puzzle. So there seemed to be a point in development where they had finalized the HUD, but we're still using this boss layout. And that's about it for this video. That's all the screenshots I've managed to scrape together from the internet. We'll definitely make more content like this if I find anything else.